Did our check-in. I think everyone's doing pretty good, yeah? Okay, we're going to get right into our topic because I'm afraid we won't have enough time for it today. I should probably stand to the side, right? Good. Okay, so we're talking about stress. Yeah? Anyone have any? No. Not us. All right, so first thing is we need to define what stress is, make sure we're all talking about the same thing. So when we're talking about stress today, we're talking about mental stress. The definition of stress, this came out of the Oxford Dictionary, is a state of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from adverse or very demanding circumstances. Yeah? You familiar? Yeah, okay. There's also pressure or tension exerted on a material object. That's the kind of stress we talk about in your workouts. That's a physical stress. Making sense? Cool. So, really quick as we're getting into this, I didn't freak you out. Good. Did you feel stressed for a moment? Good. Perfect. I did it just right. I practiced. Good. Okay, so when something like that happens, you get a physical response. Did you feel it? Did your heart rate go up? Is it still up? No. But it did go up a little bit? There was, anyone? Yeah, anyone? Yeah, exactly. Good. Good. All right. So you guys see how something that did not physically happen to you can cause a physical change in the body. Got that? Good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go around one person at a time. You guys are going to stand up and you're going to talk about the thing that stresses you out the most in your life. Think about that. Okay? You're going to stand up in front of everybody right up here and you're going to discuss in detail the thing that is the most stressful for you in your life. Perfect. Thank you. I'm just kidding. We're not going to do that. But did you feel the feelings you just had? Did you feel how it changed something in your stomach, something in your heart, something up here? Did you feel that change? No? Valerie's like, I'm in. Okay, good. So, but for those of us who aren't a big fan of public speaking, right? Public speaking can be very stressful mentally, right? Especially sharing something really vulnerable, like the thing that stresses you out most in life. That is a mental stress that causes a physical reaction in most people. Making sense? Okay, so do you believe me when I say mental stress affects your body?
Yes.
Cool. That was the whole point in all those shenanigans. So how does that work? So the way it works is that your brain receives those signals from the world, right? Your senses, the things that I said, the sound that you heard when I screamed, right? The things that you see, all of those senses receive that information from your environment around you. It goes in up here, and then it gets sent down into the body through signals, okay? Those signals are passed through into your endocrine system, okay? So those things that you're receiving through your senses, all those things are computed in the brain, and then the brain fires and sends information to your glands, which is your endocrine system. Have you guys heard of the endocrine system? No? So these are the glands of the body, and what a gland does is it releases hormones. And the hormones are the messages to the body with what to do, okay? So we have a not so friendly lion come out of the office, right? And your immediate reaction is going to be, oh dang, I've got to do something, right? Either you've got to run or you've got to fight the lion, okay? So that message goes to your glands, and then the glands release these messages called hormones that tell the body, get ready to run, get ready to fight. Cool? There's other messages besides that, but we're talking about stress. So the main stress hormone comes out of these adrenal glands that are on the kidneys. And it's called cortisol. You guys heard of this? Cool. So this is what we call our stress hormone, because this is what happens in response to stress, in response to the brain's signals to the body. Okay? Cortisol is about taking every resource you have in the body and utilizing it to respond to the stress. So instead of using energy for the body's normal functions, what cortisol does is it goes, we don't got time for that. There's a lion in the room. We need to channel that energy so that you are firing your muscles quickly. Your brain is on like superior level alertness, right? And you have all the strength available to you to fight the lion or run and get away. Okay, that's what cortisol is doing. It's channeling your resources to deal with the stress. Like adrenaline, fight or flight. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cool? Okay. And these are a more vivid picture of your adrenal glands right here. This is where cortisol comes out of. Yeah? Okay, so what does cortisol do? What happens as a consequence? So one is, the message is make energy available right now. We need all the energy we can get right now in this moment of stress. So it does a few things. It raises our blood pressure, okay? So that's how much pressure is on your cardiovascular system, which is a good thing. We need to raise our blood pressure for things like exercise to get blood to the areas that it needs right away, right? Low blood pressure is not conducive to suddenly running or fighting or doing anything physical with your body, right? We need that blood pressure to come up so we can supply oxygen to all the tissue that needs it. Tracking? Okay. Today was like, okay, how deep do we go? So if you guys have any more questions, like as I'm talking about these things, I went really deep in this lecture and preparing this. If you want to know more, just ask me, and I'm hoping that I'm prepared enough to answer all those questions. But I tried to keep it at a level that was more applicable to day-to-day life, okay? So blood pressure goes up, our heart rate goes up to move that blood. Our blood sugar goes up. So what cortisol does is it sends this message to get the sugar into your blood so that it can then be supplied to the brain. Making sense? Okay. It breaks down muscle for energy. So one of the things cortisol does is it starts breaking down our muscle tissue to take energy from it, converts it into blood sugar again, so it can be utilized for our brain and for the immediate needs of the stress. Okay? You guys know that muscle can be converted into energy? Did you know that? Okay. So when you don't have enough energy, like, have any of you seen those shows where they go out into the wild and they like are starving? They're eating off the land, trying to hunt and, eat plants and things and not die. And they waste away, right? You've seen those shows and they just waste away. The body is utilizing whatever it has to keep them alive. And so it eats away at the muscle for energy to keep them alive. Making sense? So cortisol signals that same exact thing. Yeah? Bone. Okay, this one blew my mind. Cortisol actually triggers bone loss. And what's happening is the body is taking calcium out of your bones because calcium is essential for neurological function and muscle function. So it takes that calcium to make it available for that immediate need in moments of stress. Anyone not know that? I didn't know that till I put this together. Yeah, so this is actually a big deal when it comes to our bones. Then we have the suppression of different functions. So if you are in an emergency and you've got to deal with the emergency, or you're in a stressful situation, you've got to deal with the stressful situation, we're not worried about your digestion, okay? We're not worried about your immune system. If you're going to be eaten by a lion, who cares if you're going to get a cold, right? And so the body suppresses certain systems in order for you to survive out of that stressful situation. The immune system is one of the ones that it shuts down. It just keeps it from operating. Inflammation is one of our immune system's functions. Inflammation has a really bad rap. Yeah. If someone comes in and like, I'm inflamed, it's usually a bad thing, right? But inflammation is a really important function in our body. It's how the body heals our tissue. And so inflammation is suppressed, which is like, okay, that sounds great. I'm just going to like hang out with lions, right? That would be a fun response. Oh, you're inflamed? Go hang out in a lion pen, And then suppression of serotonin. So this was another interesting. You guys know serotonin? You heard of that hormone? Just another hormone, right? Just another signal to the body, another message in the body. Serotonin's our happy hormone. This is the one that makes us feel comfortable and relaxed and happy. It actually requires one of the same amino acids as cortisol. So instead of producing serotonin with those amino acids, which is just a part of protein, it's going to produce cortisol instead of serotonin, right? It just robs our body's resources for serotonin to produce the other thing, right? Cool. Okay. Any questions? Yes, sir.
So you say a stressful thing. Would this be applicable in a workout? If you're stressed or you're working hard?
Yeah, absolutely. So cortisol goes up when we work out, right? But the interesting thing about that is that it goes up and then it comes way down. So if you walk into a workout this high, let's say with this much cortisol, when you work out, your cortisol is going to go up while you work out, and then it's going to drop down below baseline. So that's how workouts help with stress, is it helps relieve it by pulling it back down after the workout.
What about during, as you're getting tired and you're still pushing? Is that considered stress where some of these things start to happen?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, all these things happen when you work out. All of this is normal for training. Absolutely. The difference is it's temporary. It's going to go whoop and then and necessary for training. If your blood pressure doesn't go up when you train, you're not going to do anything, right? If your heart rate doesn't go up, not going to be able to do anything because you need that blood pumping through the body to support the muscle's activities, right? These all need to happen. You need sugar in your bloodstream to pull that energy into your cells and be able to do exercise. Yeah, so exactly. This all happens during exercise.
Except for the breakdown of the bone with calcium, right?
Yeah, that's probably more of a longer term thing. Yeah. But there is stress on our bones when we exercise, and that stress can be productive for bone building. That's why we lift heavy. That impact is good for bone building. That stress does happen to our bones while we work out. I don't know how long it takes for the body to start. Like the lion shows up, does our body immediately start breaking down our bone for calcium? I'm not sure how long that takes. I don't know the answer to that. Yes, so thank you. Let's talk about long-term. Okay, this is a lot of information, okay? So this is all the things that we just talked about, but what happens in the long term. Now, remember, we're in the quick cut, right? So all we care about is getting fat off our body, right? It's all we care about. Just kidding. I know we care about a lot more, but I wanted to keep this in the context of body fat, okay? These are all the things that can happen. We'll go through them really fast. So blood pressure, you have them up for too long, blood pressure's up all the time, it's really hard on your system, okay? The heart, the blood vessels, it's very, very taxing, and you'll end up with heart disease and other problems, yeah? Like hypertension and all of that. Also risk of stroke with really high blood pressure all the time.
Sorry,
Yeah, it's okay.
High blood pressure.
Yeah.
With like this, because the last few times I've had my blood pressure taken, like at the doctor, it seems a bit high.
Does it? Well, if it's not normal for you, then it's not normal. Exercise should reduce your blood pressure. Yeah, it's one of those things that should go up while you're working out, but as a long-term effect of exercise, your blood pressure should come down because your system gets better. Yeah, it gets more efficient. Okay, so blood pressure, high for too long, no bueno. Heart rate, high for too long, no bueno, right? This is where we get into all sorts of things. Like you've heard of like palpitations and, problems with your sleep, all that kind of stuff from high heart rate. You guys ever look at your resting heart rate, like on your watches and stuff like that? We want to keep it low. We want to keep that heart chilling while you're chilling, okay? Now, the big thing here, you'll see in red flags is my new word, red flag, is what happens in terms of your blood sugar. So on the situation with the lion in the room, right? Increased blood sugar to deal with that situation, great. We need that energy right now to deal with the lion. Working out, great. We need the energy right now. But what happens when your cortisol levels are high all the time? Your stress levels are high all the time. That is going to keep your blood sugars elevated, which then causes so many problems. So cortisol, you guys heard of insulin? So insulin is kind of the opposite of cortisol. Insulin is like, let's utilize all this energy in your blood. Let's shove this into the cells and get it used properly, right? And cortisol is like, no, let's pull all the energy out of the cells and put it in the blood, right? And so when you have that happening all the time, right, you now have these insulin coming up, higher, higher, higher. The body's not responding to the insulin. You guys heard of insulin resistance. And then we start headed towards diabetes, right? Bad. So cortisol stress is linked to that. And one of the things that cortisol does is it increases belly fat. That's where cortisol likes to put that extra energy, is right into the belly, where insulin doesn't do that. It pushes it into the cells for use. Cortisol's the devil? Yeah, we don't like, well, we need it, but we don't need it all the time. Oh, the belly fat's the devil. Yes, hence the red. Yeah. Okay, good. So obviously breaking down muscle is no bueno, because we're all athletes here. We all work out. We want to keep our muscles. But also for keeping fat off our bodies, we were just talking about this, the more muscle you have, the easier it is to keep fat off your body, right? That's why men who have like 100 pounds of muscle mass have an easier time with how much they eat, because that muscle is just constantly chipping away at any extra energy that's sitting around in the body all the time. Muscle is like metabolically, it's just burning. That's all it does. Cool? Even when you're just sleeping. So when you have something like cortisol in the system all the time, breaking down your muscle mass, you're literally breaking down the engines that's going to burn that fat. Okay, we want to keep the engines that are going to burn the fat. Tracking? Okay, so that's why it's in red. Good. We know breaking down our bones is no bueno. Suppressing our immune system, not good, right? Josh and I had an experience. I forget what we were going through. We went through something gym-wise. It was really stressful. We went through like a stressful, what was that? Everything. The gym was changing. Everything. Oh, that's right. The wall was going up. That's right. He was leaving the clinic, starting his own clinic. I don't know why I was stressed out, but anyway, all of it was stressful, right? We went through this really stressful period and we were fine. We made it through. And then as soon as it was done, okay, as soon as our cortisol dropped back down after that, it was like a good 6 weeks probably of it, maybe 8 weeks. He ended up in the hospital with some crazy like digestive issues, right? I ended up with a full like nerve spasm where I couldn't move my neck. I have a nerve condition, so it stimulated that and got that going. But what we learned, because we were like, why is this happening to both of us at the exact same time? What we learned is that when that stress level comes back down, your immune system's been suppressed. So it's not reacting to things. And then as soon as the cortisol comes back down, your immune system goes back up and reacts. And that's how you end up sick right after finals. Sick right during the holidays when you're taking time off of work, because stress was here and then it dropped to here. And it's a reverse effect. Crazy, right? You guys know what I'm talking about. Summer break, let's go. Boom, sick. Winter break, let's go. Boom, sick, right? And so it has a lot to do with stress, your immune system. And it's not what you think. It's when the cortisol drops back down and your immune system goes, okay, here I am, that you get those reactions. Pretty crazy, huh? Okay, back to fat. Talking about fat today. Inflammation. We need inflammation for our recovery. We need it. So without the inflammation response in our body, we start to get into trouble with different things, even our digestion. So our gut, autoimmune issues can come up, things like that. Yeah? Okay. And then there's our mood, right? That loss of serotonin, because we're producing cortisol instead, can increase our cravings, our sugar cravings especially. Cool? Tracking with that? So what do we do about it? Well, we can eat chocolate, we can play video games, stay home from work, and go shopping. It works, right? It all works. Yeah. This relieves our stress, but doesn't necessarily relieve our body fat, right? So yeah, I get it. You know, alcohol is another one, I dare say, where people feel stress relief, but it doesn't work towards our goals of reduced body fat and increased health, right? These things don't increase our health. Maybe shopping does if you're buying a Ninja Creamy, from Costco with a $500 gift card.
Then you get stressed out because being at Costco.
No, because you got a $500 gift card from Bring a Friend Week. Yeah, it was on the gym. See, very not stressful. But you guys get the idea, right? There's things that we do to reduce stress, but it doesn't line up with our goals. It doesn't line up with our long-term plans to be healthy individuals. Making sense? And then when you're not in alignment with your goals, what does that do? Stresses you out. You're trying to go that way, but your body's going that way. That's stressful, right? You may not feel it in the moment that you're eating your chocolate, but next week when you're looking at your body or feeling how your body feels and you're like, oh, that's stressful, okay? So it doesn't actually reduce stress long term. It's a short-term relief. Making sense? So let's talk about the things we can do to actually relieve stress that's productive, that's in line with our goals. So these are 5 valid ways that you can actually reduce your stress long term, okay? Number 1, eat and sleep. The body is stressed out when it's starving. If your body is starving, it is stressed. It is not good, okay? It will reduce cortisol as a response to that. If you're not eating, you need to eat. The other thing is sleep. When your body is tired, you are stressed. When you're tired, not only is your body stressed out physically, but mentally you become stressed as well. There's more things. Things are much harder to deal with mentally when you are tired. Yes? Right? Like when you're got a good night's sleep, had a good breakfast, already had your coffee, and your kid comes out whining, it's like, whatevs, go deal with it, whatever, take a walk, bro, But when you haven't had your coffee and you were short on sleep and you haven't had breakfast yet and the kid comes out whining is a totally different situation, right? It's just like up to here. So you guys get how that works. You can keep your stress levels lower by eating and sleeping. That's it. Just that alone can reduce your stress. Making sense? Okay. All right. Production is the basis of morale. When you go out and you create something or you do something productive, you get your to-do list done, it feels good, right? It actually reduces your levels of stress. And so when you're feeling really stressed out, if you can go organize your linen closet, that's one of mine. I just refold everything, right? It can reduce your stress. You just did something productive, right? You just created something that's better than it was. It actually can physically reduce your stress inside your body and in your mind. Yeah? So turn to your neighbor, give an example of something you've produced or could produce that would reduce your stress. Go. You got to talk to your neighbor, Tim. Don't do. Something. Anything you do. Cool.
I tend to feel when I'm really productive.
Oh yeah. My wife's going to Italy.
Good. Did everyone get something? Awesome. Okay, here's another one. Learn something. So here's another method for reducing stress. Education. Education adds to you. It's a constructive building of you. Okay? And so go learn something. Get something clarified that's confusing, right? You guys coming here and learning these different topics, right? Getting some education on these various topics, and we're just scratching the surface, right? That actually can help reduce your stress. Your education can help overcome the things you're challenged with in your life. So education is a totally valid way to long-term reduce your stress. Here's an example. When you were 15, 16, learning how to drive, it was really stressful to get in the car and learn how to drive. But once you became educated and well practiced at it and competent in driving, does driving stress you out? No, you just get in the car and drive, right? I mean, other people might stress you out, but you driving a car doesn't stress you out anymore. Why? Because you became educated and competent in the subject of driving. Okay? So if you've got things that are stressing you out, your kids, get educated, find out more. how do you deal with that human being, right? How can I handle this? Get some education to help you with the situations in your life. Making sense? Okay. Change your environment. You guys know what it feels like to go on vacation. I know it's been a long time, Jack, but you know. Remember your last vacation. Ready? Go. Remember it in your brain. Remember being there. Yeah? Okay, just being somewhere else than the space that you're always in can relieve your stress. Was it true for you, Jack, when you were on the other side of the world? Yeah. So you had both going. You had learning something and a change in your environment. So for people like me who doesn't get to go to the other side of the world very often, I just try to get out, right? Go to a park, go to a new coffee shop, not the same old coffee shop, somewhere new with new things to look at, you know? Climb a mountain. We don't talk about that. We're not ready for that yet. That's too soon. Too soon, Valerie. But yeah, we just get out. Look at something else. Get out of the everyday things that you're always staring at. Your desk, your living room, your kitchen. Get out of it, right? Change of environment can be very therapeutic. Okay? All right. The other thing, and really important, is talk about it, right? We deal with things all the time. Talk about it. Now, Josh and I were discussing, well, what about like journaling? I think you need to talk about it. You need to talk to somebody who can look at you, listen to you, and acknowledge you what you're going through. Okay, that's a really important element for reducing stress. Does that make sense? Okay. It can improve your marriage or make it worse. Depends on how good you are at talking to each other. Find somebody who's really good at listening. That's the key. Not somebody who's going to give you advice and tell you what to do. Somebody who's really good at listening to you and acknowledging you. That's the talk about it. Okay? You don't need them talking at you. You need to talk to them. Does that make sense? Okay. Do you guys have any questions? No? Okay. Was this helpful?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Oh, good.
How can we get more sleep? Is there something natural that we can take? My brain just keeps thinking.
Yeah. So we do have a whole talk on sleep, which I think you might have just missed, but I can direct you to the talk. Josh just did the last one. It was really good. There's a lot of strategies you can take to increase your sleep. And in fact, I have a checklist. Oh, in fact, this is a great segue. Okay. So you guys know how we've done like handouts for a lot of our things. Well, they're all in here now. Okay. They're not quite labeled, but we have a whole sleep. We call it the sleep hygiene checklist. So it's a checklist of things you can do to help improve your sleep quality. So I'll make sure you get that before you leave. But if you guys are ever missing one of those handouts or you want one again, they're in here underneath the table. Good. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for coming.